Alright, so 1 divided by 3 and 1/3 are different numbers, and I'm going to explain why. So when you look at 1 divided by 3 to equal 0.3 repeating, 0.3 repeating times plus 0.3 repeating plus 0.3 repeating equals 0.9 repeating. All the 3's accumulate. However, in standard number theory, when you use a calculator and you add 0.6 repeating plus 0.3 repeating, it just rounds up to 1. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 3/3. That equals 1. That's fine, I get that. However, this is a flaw in number theory. I'm going to explain why my system rationalizes infinite numbers. So this sort of pertains to my volume binaric perspectives, and that goes into something else, in that you can't have, say, 0 divided by 5, 1 divided by 5, 2 divided by 5, and so on, all the way up till 5 is divided by 5. Until 5 is divided by 5, only 5 can go into 5, and that means everything else is zeros or ones. And that fixes and rationalizes infinite numbers. So 0.33.5 plus 0.33.5 is equal to 0.67. Plus 0.33.5 is 1.00.5. So 5 there is equal to a 0. However, when you have 2, they're equal to 1s, and that tacks on. And so if you take 1.00.5, divide that by 3.000.1, you get 0.33.5. And you have 5 divided by 1, just 1 goes into 5 times. But that's just to conceptualize that and keep it consistent. The truth is that in volume binary perspectives, 0, if you flip them around, that would equal 0. So then 0.33.5, you can have 0.3.5, you can have 0.33.5, you can have 0.333.5. All it does is it takes that infinite number and it says, stop it. We're done with this nonsense that makes no sense. And the reason is because 0.3 repeating plus 0.3 repeating plus 0.3 repeating equals 0.9 repeating. Are we saying that number doesn't exist? Or are we saying that 0.6 repeating doesn't exist? Or 0.3 repeating doesn't exist? That doesn't make any sense. It has to exist, right? Which is why 1/3 and 1 divided by 3, which I wrote it as 1/3, but really it's meant to be 1 divided by 3, are different numbers. So that might cause a lot of anger. It's like fractions are dividing numbers and you can't. Sure. However, the logic in number theory still says 0.9 repeating is a different number than 0.1. Just as 0.67 is a different number than 0.666 and 0.66666, and so on, as you just keep stacking on decimal places. So to rationalize these infinite numbers, you have a basic volume binaric perspective to conclude and add on based on how many you do. So there are countless ways to get infinite numbers. You get 0.1 repeating, 0.2 repeating, 0.3, and everything, 0.13 repeating, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to have infinitely repeating numbers. But this, in the basic of 1/3, rationalizes this number to exist. And so in physics, there is a singularity that is infinitely dense, and you can't ignore infinite numbers like that because they do exist. It's not simply just one, or you're rounding up and you're creating an excuse for a flaw in number theory.